Hey, what's up, friend? Are you a mama who wants to stop just getting by? Maybe you're motivated to grow yourself in your motherhood, your marriage, and you want it to bear fruit. Or maybe you want to stop letting the mom guilt, the shame, the limiting beliefs, and lies. Amen. That's me right there, sister. And start stepping into the woman and the truth that God has created you to be. While we're juggling all the things, right? Nursing a baby, battling laundry, trying to keep it together, and a spicy marriage. But where the heck do we start? Hey friend, you are in the right place. I am here to hold your hand through this journey because I believe when you're ready to take control of your life, beat the limiting excuses, and step into the woman God created you to be, you can not only survive, but you can thrive. But you're gonna have to show up for yourself. It's time for me to tough love your way through taking self-care seriously, investing and growing in your marriage, and owning your motherhood, and getting rid of those excuses because the glory is in the journey. It's in the mess. In this podcast, you'll find navigating mom guilt, mindset, and marriage strategies, and everything in between, with no fluff and lots of fun. Let's go. Guess who's back? Back again. Hey, sis, what is up? I am so glad to be back on the podcast. And let me tell you, you're in for it today if you have felt like you've been in a space and in a season of extreme overwhelm, like a season of burnout and overwhelm to where you're like overwhelmingly burnt out. You know what I'm saying? Hey guys, real quick, I wanted to share with you our favorite shampoo that I use and my daughter uses because I believe in its raw, vegan, handcrafted ingredients, and I believe that you truly are what you put on and what you put in your body. It is super important. As a person with an autoimmune disease, I know the facts are there when it comes to how impactful all the things that we are consuming are to our bodies. And so we use Morocco Method in our home as a amazing source of soaps and shampoos for our bodies, especially my littles, because I really want to be careful what I am putting on and in their body, and I don't want them to be exposed to chemicals and toxins and ingredients that I can't even pronounce. So I use Morocco Method, and I wanted to share with you because it was highly impactful for my baby comeback. You know what I'm saying? Like when I had postpartum hair loss, I used that to help me get the regrowth that I needed to see, okay? Because it was a little scary around the hairline. Search Morocco Method on YouTube and you'll see several videos of the fam and I sharing how we use them and why I so strongly believe in their products. Go to MoroccoMethod.com and you can use the code TheAshCarol15 for 15% off site-wide. And y'all, they have some amazing sales on all the time. So you can use that at any time with the sales and it's bomb. I promise. So go to MoroccoMethod.com. That's MorroCCO method.com and go check out their stuff. I promise you will not be sorry. And I guarantee there's no other products out there that have these ingredients in there. Essential oils, raw, pure, handcrafted, like from the earth. You could eat it almost. Products anywhere. I have yet to find it. So go check them out, and I promise you'll love them. They're amazing. Okay, that's all. Back to the episode. So we're going to call this episode the Burnout Comeback because that is what I feel like it is for me. And to be honest, I feel like the enemy is a real poop head, right? Like he legitimately wants to keep you down and out when you're feeling like you're down and out. So, and he loves you to stay there. Even getting on this podcast to record this episode, my volume wasn't working. Like all the settings and stuff was in place. I checked all the things and everything was hunky-dory on my end. But yet like my voice in like even the platform or the recording, the recording software that I use, like the audio spikes were going up and down as if it was hearing my voice. But every time I would play it, there was no sound. I legitimately stopped myself in my tracks and was like, I see you. You're not going to stop me. I'm going to keep trying until this can play my voice. And like legitimately right then and there, it started working. So, I mean, I know that sounds real weird. Like, hey, welcome to my show. The first episode that you're hearing me come back and I'm like saying some crazy ass shit, right? So if you're new here, let me give you a little bit of background. We moved in to our RV on our property that we purchased back in January. We have lived in that RV until right before my birthday, which was the end of July of this year. So we were in this RV for about 6 months and with 3 kids, 1 being a toddler and 2 dogs. And let me just tell you, if you ever thought about RV living, it is not what they make it out to be on Instagram. I believe fully and truthfully, like if you were legitimately traveling the country, seeing things, and you guys as a unit, like you have two of you and you're a unit and you're both working from that RV, like remotely from whatever job you had, it is totally worth it. It is more doable, but trying to live on a property and have your kids going to school and your other partner going to a full-time job off property, like it's just chaos. You don't have you don't have a washing machine. Like you don't realize the things that you value. So anyway, so we have been doing that for the past 6 months while we're building the first portion of our barndominium. And now that it is built, we moved into that sucker as soon as we had a roof and walls because we were ready to get out of the RV. AKA I was ready. Like I believe the last month consisted of me telling my husband, I am losing my mind. Like for my mental wellness, I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. And that was horrible to say because it was putting pressure on him to perform and to get things done that ultimately most of it was out of our hands, like weather and, you know, timelines with builders and stuff. Like some of that stuff he had no control over, but yet like I was also in this mental space of like, I cannot do this anymore. I don't like where my mind is. I don't like where I am mentally, emotionally. And then like I could just continue to see that unraveling as we stayed day by day, especially if it was rainy. Oh Lord, if it was snowing, oh my gosh. It was just really rough on me. Okay, so maybe you guys are hardcore and you can do it. Don't ask me to go camping for the next 5 years. I'm done. Okay, so I wanted to come on here and say like that is why I took this long break from recording, because I honestly was experiencing probably overwhelm, like a lot of things. It was a lot of things compounded on top of a lot of things of me not putting myself first. And a lot of it, like you guys can relate to as mothers, there's seasons where we just can't. Like there's things that we just can't do, like date nights we couldn't do because we had nowhere to date night. Like we had nowhere for a sitter to come in like, hey, come hang out in our RV. By the way, like there is no working bathroom here. You have to do this thing where you turn on the toilet. Like it would have been a whole thing and it just wasn't working. And so there was like a lack of a lot of things. And I experienced probably what you would want to call is like the ultimate burnout, overwhelmingly burnout. And I know we all experienced, hopefully not all of you guys experience it, but some of us, most of us can relate to that in different situations and areas of our lives, especially as mamas. And so I think the thing that I have realized the most, and my husband has told me kind of in a roundabout way, but I'm like starting to get a grasp on it now, is that like I cannot put a timeline on getting myself back on this A game in like a weekend. So once we got into this, first portion of our build, I thought I would just be able to like snap out of this funk, like, the next day, the next week, like just get things going, right? And I would be fine. The truth is that like after you have put yourself on the back burner for so long and you're sleep deprived, your health has declined because you didn't put yourself first. You didn't take care of yourself. You didn't eat right. You didn't sleep right. You didn't do anything for you. You were just serving, giving, pouring out, right? Like you're a drought, sis. Like you are the Arizona desert now, okay? Like get somebody putting a little watering can, like a little spritzy spray bottle on you and go psh, psh. Like that's exactly what you think you're doing, right? Like you're the desert now. And somebody walks by with a little tiny micro spray bottle and is like psh, psh, and you're like, okay, I should be fine, right? Like I took a nap today, I should be fine. Like what's wrong with me? And I think that that's what we do. We guilt ourselves and we shame ourselves because we don't bounce back from this burnout and overwhelm. And that is what I've been doing for the past like 3 months that I haven't been recording. Is every day I'm like, okay, I'm going to show up. And I didn't. And I would shame myself and I would guilt myself. And then I would like, this next week, there was a day that I didn't do like hardly. I went and worked out, and I honestly don't know where the day went because I also took a nap, and like my body legitimately needed it. There are days where like I go and do something for myself, and then I put away the groceries, I clean up a little bit, I take a nap because my body is screaming like, you are freaking tired, you need to lay your ass down, right? And so I do those things, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's time to pick up the kids. What the heck have I done, right? And I shame myself. But the truth is like I needed these. I needed this small baby step healing each and every day. And I kept being like, God, what am I doing? Is this going to be over? Like, help me show up. And I felt like in my innermost beings, he kept being like, hold on, one more day. Like, it's not yet. One more day. Just wait. One more day. And so every day I kept thinking, okay, you're not going to guilt yourself. You're not going to shame yourself. You're just going to show up the best you can. Do what is best for you, which is really hard for me, right? Because I feel like I'm lazy. I'm also a person who thrives on constantly moving. So I hate sitting still. I hate being on my phone. So then when I do that, I guilt and shame myself even more. And I also feel bad. Like, I know for my own personal mental health, when I scroll, like when you get out of the spiral of like the deep scroll and you're scrolling and scrolling, you're like, oh crap, 3 hours has passed by, and then you just feel drained and ugly. That's how I feel. So I had some of those days, even this week, and I mean, they were productive days. Like, I had to get stuff done. There was like errands I needed to do, and I was like, what? And then I was shaming myself for not getting more done in the day because like there legitimately is not enough time. And we expect to somehow magically make this time appear, and like we just get onto ourselves. So today I wanted to talk, I'm rambling. So today I wanted to talk about getting over this burnout and having a burnout comeback. So I want you to keep in mind some of these things. If you feel like you're in this season where you are pouring out, and you're this Arizona desert, what is that really, really hot place? It's like in California, right? It's like Death Valley. Is that what it's called? That's what keeps coming to mind, but I keep saying Arizona desert. I honestly don't know anything about deserts in Arizona, but what's in my mind is like red clay dirt, just like cracks everywhere, like things not being livable or alive. Is that word? Livable. Y'all, I'm a mess today. I'm just coming back, okay? But like, I just think of us as like this really drought intensive like person, like where we just expect to take this little mist bottle and like spritz ourselves. We're like, psh, with a nap, or psh, with a date night, like one day night, psh, with the nails, a trip to get our nail done, or a trip to the massage or whatever. And that is what I expected of myself. And you can't do that, right? Like, a desert needs intensive care to come back. Like, you guys know this if you have a garden, anything that needs care, right? Like, we're in burnout ICU, okay? We need all the fluids, we need all the intravenous vitamins and minerals, we need all the sleep, we need all the oxygen, right? So we're in burnout ICU, and how do we come back from that? How we come back is, I believe that we have to give ourselves the time to catch up. If it's been months where you are doing the dang thing and you are putting yourself last and you are sleeping the least and you are pouring yourself out, and maybe it's because of whatever season you're in, maybe it's because your partner lives, somewhere else for some reason, like maybe deployment, or maybe it's that they're traveling 80% of the time, whatever it is, right? Like, whatever. Toddlerhood, because y'all, that is rough. But like, whatever it is, we have to give ourselves the time to catch up, especially if it's been long term. And you can't expect yourself to bounce back after neglecting yourself for so long over a weekend or over a week. Like, it takes however long it takes for you to catch up. So when we just have to be selfish, then we need a season to be selfish. And I think that we owe it to ourselves, right? Like, you brought in one human being, 2 human beings, 3 like, you single-handedly pushed a living being out of your body, and yet you expect yourself to be mentally well, to feel invigorated, to feel encouraged, to feel like you're enthusiastic, like you're energized and you're fulfilled and you're happy and you have joy and you're all these things, right? Like, without giving that to yourself. Right? With like, you're pouring into your family, which is such a good thing, but we also can't ignore the fact that sometimes we have to do that for ourselves, and that is hard. Like, my husband's gonna remind me of this episode 1,000 times, probably like next week, because I'll be saying something crazy and he'll be like, dude, did you not just hear yourself talk last week? And I'll be like, no. Because this is how we are, right? Like, we just don't give ourselves that kind of grace, which comes to the next thing. So first, you have to give yourself the time to catch up. However long it takes, there is no time frame. Like, you can't read a blog and somebody say, well, after burnout, like, I did this for a month and you should feel this way too. No, everybody's different. I honored myself and was like, this is rough. I hate this, but I'm going to give myself this time. And all these little nuggets of encouragement and like, it's okay, babe, advice from my husband was what got me through it, because I was honestly, you can use this time to also put you back into a backwards downward spiral, right? Because you're saying, now that you're focusing on yourself, well, now it's a whole nother narrative of you're selfish, you didn't get anything done today, you're lazy, you're not good enough, right? And so we have to be really careful about really putting on our blinders, putting on the armor of God and be like, no, like, this is my time of rest. This is the time that I need to recuperate. I am in burnout ICU, okay? And Jesus is my doctor. The enemy needs to go the heck away, right? Like, I don't know, whatever you have to tell yourself, however you need to like get yourself through, and it'll be a back and forth thing, okay? Because for me it was like, okay, I'm doing good. Okay, but I hate this. Okay, but I'm doing good. But like, you suck at life, right? Like, you got nothing done. Okay, but I'm doing this and this. So then the second thing we need to do is give ourselves grace to rest and be selfish. Like I said, like, we need to just be like, okay, this is like, I may not be getting the most done right now. I may not be accomplishing the most goals right now, but I just went through heck. Like, I just went through hell, right? So y'all, I'm trying not to say a lot of bad words. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying not to cuss, but also the way that things are right now and the level of sass that I've gained over this burnout comeback is a whole nother vibe. So forewarned. I'm honest with you, because I always want to keep in mind that, like, if you ever met me in person, I would be the same person that you hear on the radio or on this recording or whatever podcast app you're listening to. Anyways, and also one thing I struggle with when it comes to pouring back into myself is that it's not just going and getting your nails done or just going and getting a massage, because I used to believe this narrative that those were my options, was to do those things or to go get my hair done, and that was time for myself. But y'all, I do not like to get my nails done. I don't like to sit for that long. I don't like to be inside sitting around those fumes that long. For me personally, that was not fulfilling, but I believe this narrative that was what self-care was. And so I forced myself to do it time and time again. And then I would leave and feel like, I just wasted 3 hours of my life and now I got to go back and do the dishes. Like, it wasn't anything that actually filled me up. I just did it because I thought that's what I had to do as a form of self-care. So we have to then figure out, okay, what is it that we need right now that brings me joy? And we've talked about this before. Like, y'all need to go back through those episodes. I have over 100 episodes on here that are fire that we will go back through, because I need to bring those back because they are so good. But we've talked about before is like, you have to trial and error what will fill you up, what brings you joy. Sometimes we just don't know, or sometimes the things that we thought that brought us joy are really also draining us. And then we were like, what is going on, right? We don't get it. We don't understand where this slow leak is. But it's because we're doing something, or we're surrounding ourselves with something that is still slowly sucking the life out of us, okay? And so find those things, right? Like, maybe you're like, oh, I wonder if journaling will be it. And then you go to journal and you're like, wow, this sucks. Like, I can't do this. Or maybe it's like you go for a walk and you're like, nah, this ain't my jam. I need to go rollerblade. Like, rollerblading is more my speed, right? Like, we have to trial and error and find things and be okay with wasting time finding those things, because I think that that's also what we see it as, like, oh, well, man, I just wasted that day doing something I didn't like. Well, now you know you don't like it, right? So move on. You could try something else. And then lastly, when you're trying to make a burnout comeback, the thing that I think I have also realized, we have got to stop piling on more things to our plate when our plate is already full. I think we just think that we know we're awesome. We know we can do it all. We know that we're like capable, amazing, multitasking, crazy, superhuman women. But that doesn't mean that, like, Wonder Woman doesn't also need a nap, okay? Like, I just think we just continue to add on in hopes that somehow it'll make us more motivated, or like, it'll give us that satisfaction of completing things, or like, we're just mindlessly adding on as well. Like, we don't even think about it. We're just, yes, we'll do that. It's for our kids. Yes, we'll do that. We'll bring cookies. Yes, we'll do this. We'll volunteer for that. Yes. And I think that we just have to say no, and then honor the fact that this is a season that we're going to say no. And then there will be a time where we can start saying yes to the capacity that we love to, right? Like having people over, hosting this, gathering there. Now, that's not to say that gathering with girlfriends won't be healing for your burnout, especially if it's time away from your kids, or maybe it's with, your spouse and you're without your kids. But there's a difference between the burden being on you to show up, supply, decorate, host, right, when you're already feeling burnout versus it being a form of relaxation that you go out to a dinner and you have fun and there is no sort of baggage or expectation on you, but for you to show up and enjoy yourself. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you guys that I am working through continuously still. And it does feel shame. I do feel embarrassed, slightly embarrassing to be like, wow, I lived in this RV and like we have this beautiful home that we're building and I'm so grateful for it. But yet like I am still exhausted and we had multiple other things come up during that time. And I just felt like the enemy was truly attacking us, or at least me, for a long period of time, to where even now I'm like, well, you know, I try to justify it like, well, you should be able to do this, that, and the other still, right? Or like other women have it harder. They're going through worse things. So like, why can't you just pull up your big girl pants and keep going, right? Like we just have this negative, toxic thought pattern that is going on in our head. And if we continue to feed those thoughts, then we continue to feel it, believe it, and act it out every day. And then it's this vicious cycle of you're not good enough. You're not getting enough done. You still feel burnt out. You wake like you're getting nothing done. So then you prove to yourself that nothing's happening, right? Like it's just a cycle. And I don't want us to get stuck in it because there is no benefit. There is no benefit. We are going to only continue to feel worse. So I want you guys to be on the other side of burnout and have this amazing burnout comeback where you're pouring into yourself and you're reminding yourself of who you are as a woman, not only as a mama, because you're an amazing mother, I'm sure, but like we need to get back to who are we as women, how awesome and happy and fun we are. Like you don't ever lose that person. She is still there. We just put her on the back burner so that way we could help tiny humans thrive and survive. But now is your time, girl. And so that is what I'm telling myself. And that is what I'm telling you, is that now is your time. If you felt like you have been burnt out and overwhelmed, now is your time to start pouring back into yourself and to remind yourself like you have earned this. You don't even have to have earned this, right? Like as human beings, this is our right to live life fully, to enjoy it to its fullest, to feel joy, to feel happy, to feel fulfilled. But when we do experience these seasons of burnout, we have to do what is right for us to get out of there, because it is not a good place to stay in. It's not survivable, okay? Like it's not fruitful. So give yourself the time to catch up. Give yourself grace and rest to be selfish. Pour back into yourself in the ways that is best for yourself. Like try painting again. See if you do, like y'all, I want to paint so bad. But whenever I try to paint like on a canvas, it looks like my 5-year-old's, or I don't even have a 5-year-old. My 2-year-old's finger painting artwork. Okay. Like it does not look good, but every time I think that I'm like Picasso over here and I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull out my easel and my canvas and like it's going to look like this beautiful blurred out sunset with this forestry and shrubberies going on, and it looks like somebody's toddler's paint by numbers finger paint things. Okay, like it, I don't even know. So anyways, find out what you are good at and explore new things and see what can bring you joy. And then lastly, say no, set boundaries, and give yourself the space and time to recoup. And then, girl, get back out there, right? Like, do the things that you love again. But right now is a time for healing and having your burnout come back so you can come back better than ever. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode back. To be honest, I'm a little rusty. So hopefully it gets better and better as I hop back on the mic. And also, I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you. You're amazing. You're awesome. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And you go and get yourself some rest, girl, because you deserve it. Also, I hope you continue to grow with me as I'm growing with you, and we can grow together to live our best lives, sis. All right, girl, I'll catch you next time. Hey, sis, if you found this episode helpful in any way, I hope that you share it with another friend, because we all know how it is to be in one of those seasons where it's just tough, and we wish that somebody would have spoke life into us. So if you found that in this episode today, send that out to somebody, and who knows, maybe it'll help them get through a hard time. If not, I would love for you to leave a review or a comment. It helps podcast apps see that this podcast is helpful, and then send it out to other mamas who may get the same benefit that you're getting from it. And so we all want that for each other, right? So like, also, that helps me to know that you guys love what you're hearing or not, right? Hopefully, yes. But anyways, I am so grateful for your time. Make sure you send this out to another mom friend, and I will catch you next time.